Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society, Volume 16, published by Mongoose. This is part of their latest Kickstarter. It's readily available through Mongoose and through DriveThruRPG. I'll put a link to both in the description below. But here we go. We start off with some really cool artwork. I love this cover. We have some type of ranking droid. It looks like he's in the Third Imperium. I don't know exactly what rank he has. I can't really make out what's on his epaulets, but it's pretty cool. The fact that the presumed captain is still seated as he walks in tells me he's not quite as high ranking as that, but who knows? So let's take a look inside. I love that cover. So inside we have the various credits and the table of contents. This is published in 2025. And first thing we get is the Snow Devil, a bestiary for a very nasty looking little creature. Reminded me a lot of like a weasel. It's listed as a pack carnivore. So pretty good random encounter for you on a snowy world. Starship encounters in the deep and the dark. I like this. This is some nice stuff in here for the Reaver's Deep and Dark Nebula sectors. So this can add to the Deep and the Dark book. And we get a bunch of different tables, 2 to 12 tables. So you throw 2 dice 6, one represents or you add the two together, so you throw 2 dice, you get a 7, and they're on 7. That's the one you'd get, which would be a type A2 far trader carrying passengers and speculative cargo. And that would just be your moderate to high traffic Imperial system encounter. And then we have them set up by low traffic Imperial, standard Salamani backwater. Lots of Salamani in this issue, which was really fun. Aslan territory, major Aslan worlds, minor Aslan worlds. Just a good resource. I really like this. I love that artwork. I always have. And then the starship reference. This is kind of neat. Any of the starships that are brought out are referenced here, where you can find them in the various things that Mongoose has published to this point. So that was pretty cool too. So let's get one I can pronounce. Type K Safari ship is on page 198 of the Traveler Core Rulebook. So you can easily find it. I always appreciate that. And then we have a bestiary for the Haberano. It's a semi-aquatic herbivore. I thought bigger, nastier hippo. That's pretty neat. Hippos kill a bunch of people every year, and they're not nice animals. Then we've got traveling. We have Do Not Shoot the Messenger. This is pretty cool. There's kind of a backdoor organization that works for the Imperium that takes important messages from point A to point B, and it's not part of the IISS or the X-Boat network or anything. It's just dedicated messengers to take these messages. It's the Imperial Messenger Service, and it was unofficially set up in 610. And we get all the stuff, how the people are recruited to it, what they do, how they're paid, how they transport themselves, any kind of warrant. They have a limited warrant. They can't just go ahead and commandeer spaceships and things like that, but they have a lot of powers and immunities because they are so important carrying the messages that they carry. They have a message attaché case. There we go, 2 guys out on a mission. And then the legalities, and then role-playing them. So I like that. I thought this was a very useful article. Fusion Plus Vehicle Power Plants. I loved this article, not just for the vehicles, which I always love, but for the ads. That's just really cool that they have actual ads for the various vehicles that they're showing in this article. As you know by now, if you follow my channel, I'm a sucker for any kind of in-game ads, and this article had quite a few. There we go. The Grav Buggy, the Air Raft, all Fusion Plus motors. We have a G-Carrier, a Speeder, just neat, and a Fusion Plus G-Bike. So all pretty good. Nice to add flavor to your game. I like these, and I will be popping these up at a starport near my players. They'll be able to look at these and maybe dream about buying one someday. And then we have an alien encounter, the Lashana, minor species in Reaver's Deep. And then we get Grill, a summary. This is charted space. It's a planet in the Spinwood Marshes in the Morris subsector. It's kind of a nasty place. It'd be a good place for your players to do a stopover, or you could do a whole campaign down here if you wanted to. It's just not very nice to be on. It's called the Bake. The near vacuum surface is called by the natives the Bake. The governance that they have, it's civil. The taxes that are counted, the Mora Institute of Technology, MIT, goes ahead and sends students here to train on kind of a scholarship basis. There's a night's residence, which I always enjoy. And that's it for that article. Now we go to the Psionic Institute of Deneb. I like any info on Imperial Psionic bases. This one was founded just after the Psionic suppressions. And it's illegal, but it's kind of cool. The base is known as the Compound. And there we have a Vargir with telekinesis, obviously. That or he just threw a glass. I'm not sure which. But it's a neat little encounter. Then we have our neat little place, rather. Now we have an encounter. Lady Nazda Haut Gebel Valashti. And this lady is uber rich. She was born into money. Daddy's a very important noble. And she's decided she's just going to try to find her own way. Kind of interesting. She's on Ifate, or Ifate, depending on how you say that word. And she has a few robot servants. She's augmented. This could be a good encounter for your players. And there's her breakdown and all the augmentations, how you play her. And then the White Lady, which is her tech level 13 custom built yacht that Daddy gave her to travel around in. She's the only one that operates on it. She uses her robot servants to help her with shipboard duties. Otherwise, she generally travels alone. And there is the breakdown of the White Lady. And then we get the deck plan for it. And then the Little Sister is a 20-ton craft that's basically fast launch. It's really a capable fighting gig. And let's see what weapons it's got. It's got a fixed mount with a pulse laser. So Daddy wants his daughter to be safe. And there's Little Sister broken down further. And then the various robots. The only thing I didn't like about this article is I didn't care for the robot names because, quite frankly, they're too contemporary. Doc Otto, of course, Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius. I'm sure that that's a pun on that, but this is the Autodoc that is aboard the ship, but holds long conversations with anybody that will listen. He has remotes that can go around the station. Doc Otto is specifically set up to care for his owner, but it can do work for other people at her command. Then we have Jeeves, Lady Nazda's humanoid robot, butler robot. Again, the name kind of took me out a little bit because Jeeves is an old idea of a butler in various sources. And then Lurch, a tall silvery Lurch, who is her bodyguard and was a birthday gift from Daddy for her 15th birthday. So pretty interesting. I like it. I would change the character, the robot names. I understand why the author did that, and I'm not criticizing. It's just for my campaign. I would change the names. But I did like this encounter, and I may have to look into putting this lady in, because she's out there in the universe trying to make a name for herself beyond her money from Daddy. And then we have Uncharted Space. We have the Anoxil Hegemony. It's a hive federation. Basically, it's a cultural zone. And they are under the hivers, but are friendly with the hivers and not directly ruled by the hivers, which is pretty cool. Various factions that they have. Then we have a high guard of a flea trader. Flea trader is basically a garbage spaceship. You take all the stuff you don't want in a real spaceship, you put it together, and you make this one. It's pretty rare, but it can be done. And this is one of those spaceships you could make in your own backyard. If you actually had the skill and the money to buy the various parts. This thing is cobbled together with bolted on fuel tanks and all kinds of other stuff. And it's tiny and cramped and not very comfortable. Tech level 9 is what you're working with. Jump 1, thrust 1, but they're both increased size drives. And then there's your breakdown for the Fleet Trader. And then we have another high guard, a Type CF fast courier. This would go nicely with the messenger article earlier in the book. designed to use through the Imperium and beyond to convey priority cargo, mail, and VIP passengers. It is a jump 3 vessel. So there we are. Thrust 2, jump 3. Tech level 12 vessel. 200-ton displacement. Fast courier. So this could be something that a corporation would have, the Imperium would have, or just a status symbol. Maybe an entertainer with too much money on their hands. For charted space, we have the curry houses of the Vargir. This was kind of neat. I hadn't really thought about this. Vargir food that is kind of crossed species lines and is favored by humans and Aslan. And it's kind of neat. So the curry houses of the Vargir, basically no two are alike because, you know, it's Vargir. And they pickle meat and put it into a curry, and then they specifically make it for whoever's going to be consuming it. The meat is raw for some Vargir, most Vargir. It's raw for the Aslan. Humans, of course, it's cooked. Just kind of neat. I thought this was a good idea. And they have curry houses. It was just cool. And then we have an alien species, the Weregray species. They are a subspecies of humanity. Home system is located at the edge of Hive Federation space. Their home world has a protovirus that permeates the air, water, and soil that limits the lifespan of this human race. But they become so dependent on it for various functions within their bodies, such as breaking down and supplying nutrition, that they can't live without it. So it limits their lives, but they can't live without it. So I thought that was kind of a neat dichotomy. And then we get to look at their history, the contact with the Hivers. I thought this was going to end up being a manipulation by the Hivers. It's not, in that the virus was natural. The Hivers have come up with a cure for it, but they don't want to launch it because maybe the Hivers will have need for it later. So just kind of interesting. Now we have another High Guard, a standard cargo hauler, extended duty. There you go. SCHED, SCHED, low-cost cargo vessel, tech level 9. A little bit of its history. We got to look at the tech level 9. It's got 52.5 tons of cargo space. Jump 1, thrust 1. And there's the deck plan for it. Terran cultural missions. This is part of under the Exploration Service, assigned strictly science-based mission, assisting surveys of the uncharted space rimward of Terra. Within a few decades, expanded to establish colonies, and the Terran cultural missions launched intelligence gathering missions in all directions that the Union Exploration Service did, followed by a series of cultural missions. The cast Long Night somewhat impeded the progress, but it gave a nice toehold for humans around Terra. It gave them a toehold in a neighboring space. Extending the computer into the crew. This is pretty cool. So talk about implants, like a wafer jack, which is in the core rulebook and features prominently in Agent of the Imperium, the novel by Mark Miller. We get neural comms, which I brought out in the core rulebook. And you have some external cognitive augmentation and how you can kind of tap into your ship with it. I like that article quite a bit. Another High Guard Type SA free trader. This was a Soleimani free trader. This guy's tech level 11, 400 ton, jump 2, thrust 2, 144 tons of cargo space. So pretty good sized ship. And there's the deck plan. And then for the vehicle handbook, we have environmental vehicles. This is kind of interesting. It's eco-conscious vehicles throughout space, charted space. So if a planet is starting to get into some environmental concerns, they can go ahead and institute some of the vehicles that are brought out here to help keep the environment in good condition and keep the human inhabitants from damaging it. One of the interesting ones is the collapsible frame vehicle. They actually fold, and one of the benefits of this is wherever there's a market for these, you can fit more in your Starship hold than you could have a regular vehicle because these things fold. It's designed to help save on parking infrastructure and such. Just neat idea. And then solar panel vehicles, interconnectivity systems, pollutant scrubbers, help you drive and clean the air as you do so. And then some new vehicles called out. The Eco 83, Ed Begley Jr. would be proud. An ocean cleanup boat. And there they are cleaning up some garbage. And then we have a bestiary, the Thuckstorslull. Can't even say that one. It's a large animal. Superficially resembles a Terran sloth and chameleons. It gives you a little electrical charge through its tongue, and then it eats you. You want to be careful around these guys. They're pretty decent size, and but they are slow moving. But the electric charge can cause you a problem. Charted Space, Project Steel, officially known in the Spinrad Marches as the Imperial Enclave Limited Development Project, or the Steel Project. It's called Project Steel. It's basically a way to build up the infrastructure on the planet Steel so it can become a useful trading hub between the Imperium and the Sword Worlds. Charted Space, Waldo, Orca, Wrestling, and Bathhouse Bars. This was probably my favorite article in here. This or the Messenger would be numbers 1 and 2. I love the idea of Orca wrestling, and there actually being like a market for it. I thought it was pretty neat. Waldo Wrestling is brought out here, and here's the weight classes. Heavyweight 6.5 plus tons, cruiserweight 6 tons, middleweight 5.5 tons, welterweight 5 tons, lightweight less than 5 tons, also known as dolphin weight. So you can wrestle in various venues, some of them big, some of them small, some of them just bars. Here's some characters that indulge in this. And Helena is an orca, and she went undercover as an orca wrestler and developed a taste for it. She also likes old noir movies from Terra, which is cool that they've survived this far into the future. And she also enjoys Agatha Christie. So immediately I was kind of picturing David Suchet as Hercule Poirot as a big whale. So there you go. Here's her bartender, Elkie Midnight. She is an aquamorph, a human subspecies that breathes air and water. And then a description of the bar itself. And then Boris Basuba, one of the folks that's around in the bar. So pretty neat article. I enjoyed that article a lot. I'm going to have to look into plopping that into one of my adventures. And then we have a bestiary for the giant trapdoor spider. Just something to plague your characters with a little bit. And then the Larshal. This was interesting. It looks like a xenomorph, but it'll come up and it'll be rubbing against your knee and being all friendly. And it's just a huggy little thing. And then once you relax around it, it stings you with its tail and then eats you. So I thought that was pretty cool that it hunts by cute. Pretty interesting. And there we have a good look at it in the back, and there's our inside back cover, and then the back cover itself. So that's just a quick look at volume 16 of the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society from Mongoose. I like this issue a lot. I've liked all of Mongoose's JTASs. They haven't disappointed with any of them. JTAS never disappointed. It was always a lot of ideas, a lot of fun. If you're looking to just sit down and read some Traveler that's not involved in one particular subject, JTAS is definitely the answer. When I just want to read Traveler, but I don't feel like reading a specific topic, I turn to JTAS. Old and new. They're still great. The old ones were published back in the early 80s. They're still phenomenal. And now these guys are picking up the torch. So there you have it. That's a look at JTAS number 16 from Mongoose. Let me know what you thought. I'll put a link to the product in the description below. Let me know what you thought about this. If you liked it, if you love JTAS, let me know. I'm really interested in hearing that. If there's any articles I should take a deeper dive in, let me know that too. I'm always interested in new topics for the channel. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Please take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let's keep growing the channel. And that's it for today. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you next time on page 121.